Hi, it's time to meal prep with Abby. If you are a busy professional, a mom, dad, or even a student, cooking for that one and a half person and trying to incorporate a healthy, plant based meal into your meal prep routine, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Indian tomato curry cubes. Why Indian tomato curry, you may ask? Because I'm lazy, you guys. The only way, well, there are only some recipes that you could make where you could add pretty much anything you want in there and it'll come out well, right? My intention with every meal prep is to make sure that I incorporate enough vegetables, preferably frozen vegetables, so I don't have to prep for them, or cooking greens and beans into my meal prep, right? And the most lazy, easy way to do it are usually curries, maybe stir fries, sometimes fried rice, right? Sometimes I cook regular rice too. Curries, various curries, stir fries, fried rice, they're all such easy way to put so many vegetables, beans, and whatever you need into them and make a quick meal to eat, right? But the only problem with the Indian tomato curry is the layers of cooking that goes into it to make the curry in the first place. So I've simplified the base of the tomato curry so you could batch cook them in bulk so easily in an Instapot. It's like a one-pot dish. And you puree them, throw them into a portion that you want for yourself, freeze them in a freezer. And when you're ready to make a meal or when you're ready to make a curry, you could pretty much defrost the curry cube paste and then add whatever vegetables you want, and just like that, your curry is ready to go. This has by far been the most easiest way for me to incorporate whatever vegetables I want or greens I want into my recipe. Especially when it comes to a tomato curry base, they work so well with cooking greens. My daughter will sometimes come home with dandelions. I'll do spinach, kale, maybe okra, like frozen okra. They work so well with some of these hearty greens that are not so easy to cook sometimes, right? Asparagus goes great with those tomato curry, cubes. So some of these vegetables get so easy to make with this tomato curry cube that I have them handy all the time. Sometimes I'll make a regular food prep and I'll have leftovers and I'll throw all these leftovers into a tomato curry and I'm done. And when it comes to the tomato curry cubes, I make them so plain. I make them like a basic tomato curry cube, and then you could add some curry powder to it and it'll bring you more South Indian flavors. Or you could add garam masala and stuff to it. That'll give it a bit of a North Indian flavor. You could also add chaat masala and stuff like that, and kind of you could dabble and try different curry powder mixes and see what you like. You could play with it and kind of change up the recipes. Even though it feels like you're doing so many different kind of recipes, it all comes from the same curry cube and it makes life so easy. And let's face it, we're all so busy, overwhelmed, we have no time, and this is by far the easiest way I have figured out to incorporate anything you want into a curry. So it's very simple. All you need is an Instapot. So I throw some onions in there. So this is what I do. When it comes to an Indian curry, there's so many healthy things you could add to them, right? So as a South Indian, I do cook more South Indian based food. And so I add onions to it. You could do organic garlic ginger paste into that. Sometimes I don't have time to make these garlic ginger paste. So I'll just get the frozen garlic ginger cubes at the Indian store. They have it in the freezer section. I'll just use them. Whatever is easy for me. Sometimes I do buy the garlic and the ginger and I prep them, and I'll do a whole course of like Indian tomato curry cubes, I'll do like onion cubes, I'll do like pasta sauce, I'll do like a bunch of like, you know, base recipes, and I will get fresh onion, like fresh ginger and garlic for them. But usually I have the ginger and garlic now frozen in the freezer. It comes in the freezer section. Life has become so much easy since like all these frozen food has come out. Prepped frozen vegetables and like all these frozen stuff has come out. So I do use those cubes as a shortcut. So you add some onions, you add some ginger garlic paste, and then I add a bunch of curry leaves. Curry leaves are a very South Indian herb. It's like cilantro, and it's called curry leaves. You'll see me adding them here. You could get fresh curry leaves at the Indian store, or they also sell them in the frozen section. They do have a lot of health benefits to them. I do love adding them. It's hard for me to use them fresh every time. So I try to incorporate a lot of these healthy ingredients into the curry base. This way I'm done, then I don't have to worry about all these like small herbs and stuff every time I'm trying to freshly make something. So I add a bunch of like curry leaves in there, and then I add like I'll buy like a whole two packs of like cilantro. Like I'll wash them and I'll add them in there, and I put like salt, chili powder, turmeric. I do use some nice organic turmeric. They're very good for you. It has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. And these are all the health benefits that come from Indian cooking, and I want to capture them, right? But it's hard to do them every time you make Indian food, because they do end up getting a lot more layers to it, and it gets hard for me to remember and add them, or to have them fresh and available when I need them, right? So I add all of those things in there. So I add like turmeric in there, and then right on top of all of it, I'll just add like, you could add fresh tomatoes, fresh cut tomatoes. I do tend to add a tomato puree and some cut tomatoes in it, because the tomato puree, like the pureed tomato, brings that acidity that the tomato cubes need, right? And then I'll add some cut cubed tomatoes, because that is more of like a fresh flavor. But the acidity comes from that pureed tomato. So if you're using a bunch of fresh tomatoes, that's great, use them. But I recommend that you guys add like at least a can of like pureed tomato, because that's what brings that acidity that tomato curry needs, that could hold up to a lot of like cooking greens and stuff, right? So I add all of them. It all goes into that you see in the video. It all goes in the Instapot, and then you close the Instapot, you pressure cook for like 11 minutes, and then you let it release by itself, right? And once it's done, you take them out and you puree. You could use a hand blender to puree it. Sometimes I'll put them all in a Vitamix or like a blend tech, and you could blend the whole thing, and then it gets completely pureed. It is important when you're making curries that you completely puree these curries. Because if you don't puree these curries into like a really liquid, like pureed consistency, once you freeze them and you try to defrost them, they'll turn into like this slush, and it's not very appetizing. It's important that they're pureed and they have a more of a liquid consistency. So when you defrost them, they defrost back into this nice like liquid consistency and not turn into the slushy like mess. So I puree them and I pour them either in mason jars and I'll freeze them, or sometimes I'll put them in like those 1 cup like silicone trays, and I'll pour them in there, and then once it freezes, I'll pop them into like a Ziploc, like date and time it, and I'm done. They could last up to 3 months, but I try to use mine within like 4 to 6 weeks, right? So I'll try to like I'll date them, and my cubes are ready to go. When I'm ready to use them, I'll just pour some oil in a pan. I'll defrost them in the fridge or over the counter, does not matter. I have even quickly defrosted them in a microwave, and it has worked out quite fine. So I'll put some, I'll heat up a pan, put a teaspoon of oil, and put some curry powder or garam masala powder, whatever you guys decide to do. However you guys want to start and venture out, Indian food is easy to make once you have those bases. And you could get like curry powder, garam masala powder, or like a chaat masala powder at the Indian stores. Or even they sell them now at Whole Foods and stuff. And you could get one of those powders and you just put some oil, you put whatever powder, curry powder you want in there, and then you'll put like your greens or your vegetables. You'll just coat them in the oil, kind of like fry them really quick. And then you add this tomato paste to it. You could add a little bit more water to it just to like bring it to your desired consistency. And then you close them. Wait for that vegetable or that green to cook, and voila, you're done. Your tomato curry is ready to go. So I sometimes use them and I'll sometimes add more curry powder to it, put more water and make it into like a liquid curry. Sometimes when I do okra, I'll put some oil, curry powder, put the okra, and like add no water other than the tomato curry paste. And then I'll like close like the tomato curry cube, and then I'll close it. So the okra will kind of add more water. Since it's all closed, it'll steam and it'll cook and it'll become like a gravy, and it's so good. So there we go. This is the simplest recipe to make like the curry cubes all ready to go. Once you make them once and you start using them, you will see how quick it is to incorporate any vegetables you want or like greens you want into your recipes. Maybe I'll add some pictures of all the other greens and stuff I made. If you guys are interested, do leave a comment at the bottom. I could always show you guys more videos of how I make these recipes, how I use these cubes, and all of the various recipes I use these cubes in. I hope this helps. I hope you guys make these cubes and are able to make more Indian food and incorporate a lot of vegetables and beans into your diet. If this is helpful, please do leave me a comment in the bottom. Thank you for watching. Bye.